We'll make a transition to the world of crude oil in about 10 minutes. But first, let's remind you one of the big stories on the street as we speak. Nigeria's Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria says it is taking over Osigwe Foods and Agro-Industrial Company Limited, a private company, over estimated 5 billion naira debt owed some 4 commercial banks, one of them dead, Union Bank, Unity Bank, EcoBank Nigeria, and former Finbank, if you are old enough to remember, Finbank. AMCON says it also seized the massive private residence, quote and unquote, of the company's owner, Mr. Anselm Kayode Mohammed, located at the highbrow GRA Ikeja, Lagos. AMCON says it has therefore purchased the Osigwe Foods' huge debt during the first, second, and third phases of the purchase of eligible bank assets from those 4 commercial banks we mentioned earlier: Union, Unity, EcoBank Nigeria, and now extinct Finbank. Lagos Federal High Court Judge Saidu has therefore approved the appointment of Robert Ohuoba as the receiver manager of the company, Osigwe Foods. The stock in trade, the floating assets, everything else, bank accounts, whatever, cash in hand, as well as the properties belonging to the owner of this company, Mr. Anselm Kayode Mohammed. That's the news we had overnight. But the AMCON says some 400 obligors or debtors of the agency accounts for more than 4.5 trillion naira, or about 80% of the total outstanding loan balance of the corporation's over 12,000 debtors that AMCON carries on his book. 12,000 debtors, because they become recalcitrant over time. So the AMCON says is now going ahead, increasing the tempo of its recovery activities this year and using what you call the firmer negotiation strategies, as well as the AMCON Act to compel those headstrong debtors to repay their debts. AMCON itself, which is a bad bank, is sitting on 6.6 trillion naira asset. That's about a lot of money, almost Nigeria's national budget. Meantime, President Buhari says all mismanaged and misappropriated national assets seized under his current administration will be sold off, with the monies paid into the national treasury for the benefit of Nigeria. President Buhari, in a statement from his media office, says he will not allow the repeat of what happened when he was the military head of state. He says his administration back then, as a military government, seized a lot of ill-gotten assets, but those assets were later returned to corrupt officials when his administration back then was booted out of office. President Buhari says he will not allow a repeat of that. So let's go a little bit into the world of crude oil. Nigeria is currently hosting the global oil leaders and companies and their officials in Abuja, the country's political capital, through a 3-day Nigeria Petroleum Summit. Petroleum is very key to Nigeria, and this is one of the high-profile events we're having in the current year, 2018. And anyone in the industry has been speaking over the last 24 hours. And of course, as we speak, that conference is continuing with a panel session. Yesterday, the group managing director of the NNPC, which is the State Oil Corporation, Mekanti Baru, has a few words to say about the state of the industry, which he currently, the State Oil Corporation, which he currently superintends within the space of the global oil industry. Let's take a listen.
The NIPS is programmed to be an annual event and expected to be Africa's largest and most important industry platform and linkage to the world. This is how the Nigeria Oil and Gas NOC started 19 odd years ago, with a focus on Nigerian oil and gas industry by the legendary Dr. Rilwanu Lukman of blessed memories. May his soul rest in peace. It gladdens our hearts that we have indeed commenced what we envision to be Africa's vision of the likes of the Offshore Technology Conference held annually in Houston and the Abu Dhabi International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference held annually in Abu Dhabi, UAE. After several decades of petroleum exploration and exploitation in Nigeria, this event is long overdue. However, as the popular saying goes, it's better late than never. Once again, on behalf of NNPC, let me particularly appreciate the vision of our Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Emmanuel Ibekachukwu, for working tirelessly to ensure that today's event comes to fruition. Your efforts will nurture this event to a full-fledged international summit, just as did the mature energy that continues to focus on Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the organizers of this program, in conjunction with other stakeholders, envision this event as the premier African Technology and Business Conference. This is evidenced by the appreciable number of distinguished oil and gas heavyweights present here. Once again, I acknowledge the presence of Your Excellencies, the Secretary Generals of OPEC, GECF, IEF, and APO. Your presence underscores the very importance of this occasion. We thank you for the support. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, discussions are expected to cut across the industry value chain with focus areas on deepening collaboration across and within the African oil and gas space, modern technologies in the industry, innovative strategies to survive after a global downturn, current trends in the oil and gas markets, gas to power, prospects and opportunities, policy and regulation, sustainable socio-economic development of the Niger Delta, as well as lessons learned so far from the Nigerian experience. To surmise it all, the organizers have put up a robust program to keep you energized for the next 5 days. Our expectation is that at the end of the summit, a communique will be issued to give action points for current and potential African oil and gas countries for better collaboration and development. As I scan through the list of invited speakers and panelists, I'm convinced we'll be able to frame new strategies and come up with practicable solutions for effectively developing Africa's hydrocarbon resources. On our part, I want to say that it is high time that African countries collaborate and trade amongst each other, not only in terms of oil and gas, but in other key sectors. One of the key takeaways from an event of this nature is the networking opportunities and the strategic partnerships we make to better not just our industry, but also our respective economies. No one will do it for us. The onus lies on us to do for ourselves. I have full confidence that the discussions and interests alike will stir up strategies and actionable items that will crystallize into a veritable roadmap for our industry and indeed our energy future. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, the NNPC family welcomes you to the 2018 Nigeria International Petroleum Summit. To our invited guests from outside the country, we welcome you to Nigeria and specifically welcome you to the beautiful city of Abuja. You've already heard from Dr. Omotusho how beautiful the city is and the near size near the city, all of them within 1 hour's drive.